Hi. I didn't see you there, but I'm glad you're here because today there's something very important and very exciting that you are going to want to know all about. As you may already know, GitHub is obsessed, fascinated, nay, consumed by two things: developer happiness and productivity, in that order. So they built an AI-assisted coding tool called Copilot to help improve both. But what is GitHub Copilot? I'm glad you asked. To truly understand what Copilot is, you've got to understand the history of dev tools. Hey Marty, cue the flashback.
Silicon is revolutionizing the way we live.
In the 1950s, recognizably modern computers appeared, but for developers, this was still
The Dark Ages.
physical wires, punch cards, wool pants. Ew. By the 1960s, things had improved. A little. Now we could use monitors and keyboards in addition to that fancy new basic programming language.
Something referred to as technology has made this possible.
But even though our ability to interact with machines was getting better, coding was still, in a word, tedious. The 1970s brought us the first useful interactive debuggers and non-ironic disco. Now, for the first time, we could stop our programs to see what they were doing.
Oh, that's pretty. Mom, let's get that.
Productivity leaped forward, and that leap led us to the 1980s and the dawn of the internet. Sure, the internet was arguably a mixed bag when it came to productivity, but with these breakthroughs came color monitors and the syntax highlighting that made it so easy to see which part of our code was doing what. The 90s finally introduced code completion, which meant those heavy reference books could go back on the shelf where they belonged. And this brings us to the modern era, the 2000s and beyond, where we've enjoyed the superpowers of semantic refactoring, remote pair programming, edit and continue, and countless other breakthroughs that made it seem as if our tools finally understood what we were trying to do. Another development that has taken the world by storm is machine learning, which is a very interesting subset of AI, and it has completely changed the way we develop software. AI is awesome. Fast forward to now, the future, and GitHub Copilot, your AI pair programmer, the latest, the newest, the most next leap forward in this rich history of developer tooling. But even if it feels like magic, and trust me, it does, it's really just a bunch of elaborately sophisticated machine learning protocols running on the cloud's most powerful GPUs. And as you know, machine learning is really just a whole lot of fancy math. You know, math. Now, I don't want to be a name dropper, but Mike Krieger, he's the co-founder of Instagram. Maybe you've heard of it. He said about Copilot, "This is the single most mind-blowing application of machine learning I've ever seen." Copilot is trained on billions of lines of publicly available code. This means it can turn natural language prompts into code suggestions, and it works in dozens of languages. This is pretty exciting stuff, right? Now let's check in with all of you watching at home. Hello, caller, who's this?
Hi, big fan. This is George Michael from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Well, hi, George Michael. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
I'm curious if Copilot can match my coding style and conventions when I'm writing code.
Great question. And the answer is yes. Copilot can anticipate what you're trying to build, match your style and conventions, and let you focus on solving bigger problems rather than writing boilerplate code. It's like being able to write code with the help of the world's collective knowledge about software development. It's like having the world's best senior developer as your coding buddy.
Wow, so it's like you're taking the cumulative knowledge of the world's software developers and cramming it into your workflow.
And somehow it fits. Great call. Thanks, Michael. But just having Copilot wasn't enough. GitHub is a company of engineers and scientists, so naturally they wanted to understand and to measure the impact of GitHub Copilot on the community and find out whether developers were indeed happier and more productive. So GitHub did some research. In particular, they wanted to discover 3 things. How does Copilot impact developer productivity? What does the quantitative and qualitative data say about the experience of Copilot users? And how does using Copilot impact day-to-day work? To talk about these findings, I'm joined by Irini from GitHub's research team. Hi, Irini. So what did you find?
Thanks, Seth. In short, there's more to productivity than just speed.
Tell us more.
We surveyed more than 2,000 people and found that between 60 and 75% of users reported they feel more fulfilled with their job. They also feel less frustrated when coding, and they're able to focus on more satisfying work when using GitHub Copilot. Copilot can also help conserve mental energy. 73% of developers reported that GitHub Copilot helped them stay in the flow, while 87% said it helped preserve mental effort during repetitive tasks.
So Copilot can take away the boring and repetitive work?
Exactly. Now, obviously, there's a lot of technical detail that goes into each of these questions. There's a lot of process that goes into defining the terms and gathering the information, and you can read all about our methodology here.
Well, thanks for that, Irini. When the team built Copilot, they expected that it would help developers complete tasks faster. They didn't expect to see 90% of users agreeing that it helped them to do just that. Let's check in again with the callers. Sam from Lake Arrowhead, California, thanks for calling. How are you?
Hi, am I on?
Yeah, Sam, you are. How are you?
Yeah, okay. I am loving Copilot. I think it's the best.
Oh, great.
So I'm wondering if after you learned that 90% of users were finding Copilot really helpful, did you do any additional research about how much more efficient it can make developers?
Great question. Actually, we did. So we set up a second experiment and
I can jump in here, Seth. We randomly split 95 professional developers into 2 groups, and we timed how long it took them to write an HTTP server in JavaScript. One group used Copilot and the other one didn't. We controlled for as many factors as we could, but even so, what we found was the group using Copilot had a higher rate of completing the task than the group that didn't. 78% versus 70%.
That's really cool.
Yes. But what really stood out was the group using Copilot completed the task so much faster. On average, they finished their HTTP server 55% more quickly, finishing in 71 minutes versus 150 minutes for the group without Copilot.
Wow, that's really significant. Thanks, Irini.
No problem. Okay, I'm actually going now.
Me too.
The exciting thing about this data is what it tells us about how Copilot helps developers. And it does it in 3 really big ways. It helps them complete tasks and projects faster. It conserves mental energy, and it helps devs stay more focused on the work that is more satisfying and interesting. The field of AI-assisted code is new, but it's growing rapidly. And there are lots of exciting research exploring this topic. To learn more about this research or to start using Copilot right now, visit copilot.github.com.